All right. All right. Good evening and welcome, everyone. We have our guest today. Our guest is Oluleke Olatunji. Oluleke is the Chief Information Security Officer with the FSDH Merchant Bank, and we would like to welcome Oluleke today. So, Oluleke, please unmute and let's hear your voice. Thank you for joining us.
I'm
Excellent.
glad to be here. Good evening, everyone.
All right.
I don't know if you can hear me very well.
Yes, I can. I can. It's good. It's good.
Okay.
It's good to see you
So
again
now,
after a long time. All right.
my
So,
pleasure, my pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
all right. I'll just go on to my first question. So my first question to Leke is, Leke, can the entire cybersecurity mentoring group, can we meet you? Can you tell us? So when we say we want to meet you, is to tell us about your experience, your professional experience, how you started the field in cybersecurity. Maybe you want to share something from your interview, what you studied, and a whole lot of other things that you think this is good. This is about me, and I'm happy to share with you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks again for the opportunity. It's always a privilege to speak with people who have interest in cybersecurity because it's always it's a let me just say it's a privilege for me. So I have my first degree in computer science a few years back. Um, my first role was a web developer for a few months. So my first main job was as an internal control person within a bank, Guarantee Trust Bank. So basic thing about my career has been that I've tried not to um, be in one spot for too long. Okay. So I was in internal control, but I really didn't I wanted to move to either IT audit or application development, but that didn't work. I was now shipped to um, the electronic fraud team. So I spent about 2.5 years there. Then there was a reshuffle within the bank. So I was due for promotion. So instead of promoting me, my boss at the time decided to donate me to information security department because he knew I actually wanted to go there. So it was a bittersweet thing because I was actually needed the promotion. I'd be 3 years. I've been no 3 years. Um, yeah, I was about 3 years on particular position. So that meant that I was going to a new team, so they're going to start counting afresh for me. It was all good. So that's how I entered cybersecurity. I was stock analyst for about 3 years. I did um I moved to the different team. So what I planned to do was maybe this is just a recommendation to anyone who gets to listen to this. Sometimes the path to where you want to go to might not be very clear. So what I
Mm,
try to recommend is do as much as you can and learn as much as find a department where you can learn as much as you can. Learn and switch
mm,
departments. If you can't switch department, at least within another organization you find yourself. That's what I did. So I
mm,
was in the SOC team. Then I started learning how to SOC is basically blue team. That's information security, incident monitoring and management. So we look out for security events on the network, identify them, investigate them, where we need to do carrier remediation, so we carrier remediation. So basically that's what I was doing. While I was doing that, I was also learning how to do application security. I was learning pen testing every time, right? Because I wanted to move to the team that actually does that. So after a while, 2 or 3 guys in that team resigned, and I made my intentions known to my boss at the time that I wanted to switch, and was
mm,
fine with it because
mm,
um, one I think there was a particular training we went for, and pressure security training we went for, and because I took it seriously, there's a capture the flag competition that was done. I won the competition and I won a phone. That was when I was still a soccer analyst. So when
wow.
when it was time for me to switch, it was easy because okay, this guy already has an idea of what this thing is. So I moved there. And then I spent about 2.5 years as a pen tester, application security pen testing, risk assessment, what is popularly known as red teaming now. By the time I was hitting 3 years, I still wasn't promoted. So my plan was to move to IT and do some system admin roles. But as God will have it, I got a job with the stock exchange. The funny thing about the job with the stock exchange was that I'd never done that role before.
Okay.
Right. And then I did the interviews. It was at the last stage. They asked me that, are you willing to do something related to information security governance? I said, yes, now. In my mind, I'm like, a job is a job as long as you pay me. Right? A job is a job as long as you pay me. And then I asked, okay, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I said, I hope to be a chief information security officer somewhere. You know, but it was a leap of faith for me because it wasn't something I'd done before. Of course, I know about ISO 27001 security programs, but I wasn't directly involved while I was at the bank. So I moved to the stock exchange and I was doing that, doing policies, managing the security program, security awareness. I did a bit of pen testing, but not so much. I did access management. I had to work with a lot of consultants that were doing our penetration tests because over there they outsourced it. So I didn't have to do so much technical work. But it was interesting for me because I'd not done so much paperwork as regards to security before. So that was a good thing. So I spent a while there, about 18 months. Then I got the opportunity at InterSwitch where I met Mr. Wale, a fantastic colleague, by the way. Right. So at InterSwitch, I got in as an information security manager. So the role I took at InterSwitch, I've never done that kind of role thing before too, right? So yes, it was security related, but at InterSwitch it was slightly different. Previously, you just run tests, scan servers, and send it to the IT team to fix. When I got there was something that I had to get directly involved in. So we're responsible for patching servers, make sure the servers were secure, make sure we're responsible for kind of BAPT assessments on applications, on servers, on networks. So it was very, very interesting for me. We had to develop a security program, a plan for testing our applications, ensuring that, and it was a larger organization because InterSwitch is actually pretty big. So there were standards that we had to adhere to, PCI DSS, ISO, there were routine reports we had to come up with. Then I started knowing things about budgets, security budgets, how to manage vendors, I started having ideas about all that. And it also helps at that time I was the backup to the CISO. So there were things that he was doing as soon as I came, he just dumped them on me and I had to pick them up and start. I think I resumed in January. By February, he went on the 1 month leave. And he didn't even 1 month leave. I didn't even bother looking back. And I'm grateful that I didn't drop the ball while he was away. Everything went on well. Right. So I think for me the key thing is what I think the privilege I've had is I've had good bosses, one. Then two, one of the first things I learned quickly is you should be able to be able to, whenever you are faced with challenges, you don't just carry challenges and go and report them to your superior or just complain about them. It's your responsibility as an individual to fix whatever issues comes to your desk at work. Okay, so what that does for you is when you take responsibility of whatever you are told to do, your superior will notice and give you more.
Yeah.
Right? So as that goes on, when there's an opportunity for growth, you'll be the first person in that person's mind to either promote or to fight for a training or something. Why? Because you are valuable to that person. Right? So I think that has been helpful for me. So I was the information security manager. Then the CISO resigned. I was the chief information security officer resigned. And then I was made the acting CISO. And then I was the acting CISO for a few months. Then I got a job as a substantive CISO at the bank, the payment service bank, before I moved to the bank where I am now. So that's the summary of my journey. I hope it doesn't be too boring.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Thank you for for
Yeah.
sharing that with us. So Leke was active CISO in InterSwitch, and for some of you, so I was in InterSwitch for about 10 years. Some of you that maybe are familiar with InterSwitch, industry is quite big on the inside. From the outside, you think that it's just a small company, but people that are privileged to work inside InterSwitch will know that this company is massive, and I can attest to some of the routine certifications that we were doing. At a point, we certified actually to five standards at just at a point, and that's to tell
Yeah.
you
So, and that's
how
aside
yes.
regulators coming around to carry out audits, then independent audits by folks that
Exactly.
want to
Exactly.
partner with and all that.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. So it's quite so, and Leke was the acting CISO at the point. Then he got an opportunity to become a CISO. So he has done this. He has played this CISO role in 3 organizations, and he has a lot experience to share about that. Now I'll on to my next question. My next question is around if you are hiring an information security staff. So um uh, now is how do you how do you think a cyber security professional can become sought after in the industry or sought after in the role that they are playing? That's just the simple question. How do you think I, as a cybersecurity officer, can become a sought after person in my role?
so I think the first thing for me is it's not compulsory, but it's a good thing if you have some IT background. Um, it doesn't matter what web IT application, network, whatever. It's always a good plus because you can't really secure what you don't understand. You understand? So it's always good to have some IT background. Now that said, I have someone working with me who studied microbiology. She's never really been an IT person. However, when I was speaking, she came in as a graduate analyst. And the thing that stood out for me was right from her training school, she reached out to the HR team and told them she actually wanted to work in cybersecurity. Out of a batch of maybe like 26 people, she was the only one that signified intention, meaning that she was very intentional about it, right? And then I asked her a few questions. So she had done there are a lot of free cybersecurity training. Now I'm talking about like the barest minimum. There are a lot of free cybersecurity training that you can do. I think Google has one, Microsoft has one, Cisco too has one, right? So I don't know what countries most of you are in, but if you are in Nigeria, getting some of the certification, even the simple ones like Security Plus, can be very expensive because the exchange rate is a lot. But if you can go the extra mile and take some of these available certifications, especially for someone that's looking at entry level roles, mid to entry level roles, it's something that excuse me, something that shows drive, something that shows interest, and then we can have conversations around it. Like, okay, this particular thing, what do you know about this? What do you know about this? And then I think that for me that helps a lot because, like I said, when I started, we didn't have access to the kind of resources that's so available now. Now companies are pushing for people to actually come cybersecurity. People are dumping free certifications and training here and there, like I mentioned earlier. Back then, you probably had to rely on Google search, YouTube, and all that. So it's important you are able to look for these things on your own, be able to do research on your own, be able to ask questions. You need to be inquisitive. You can't just hear a news item about something and not be curious about what that thing is about, right? Um, I'm not sure that I can't recall there's been a popular breach recently, but there was an Okta breach recently where credentials were stolen and all that. So you need to be aware of what's going on in the news, even if you are not sure of, even if you don't fully understand um, the basis. Usually, when there's a breach, there's a report that shows a breakdown of what exactly happened. It'd be nice to read those kind of things. So when you're having conversations, even if you don't have the full understanding, And you have an idea of, okay, this is what happened, this is how it happened. No one expects you to know everything. That's the truth. You get, even me, I don't know everything. So it's always good to start from where you are. There are few certifications that you can quickly just to study, show some competence, and be aware of news items that come up. Research breaches. Of course, the best way to learn is from the failures of others, right? There's a breach in news. Read about it. You're always learning points. Those are two things I think
Thank
come up. And
thank you.
then, yeah, those are two things that really come up for me as practical ways that you can actually help give yourself an advantage.
All right. I think I got one of them quite a number of people have asked me about the importance of IT. And I think you drew it out that a good understanding of background in IT is very good if you really are going into or considering cybersecurity. So it doesn't really matter what you studied, but if you have a sound understanding of IT, because I like the word, you can't secure what you don't understand. Um, the entire the entire framework of security sits on technology. So you need to understand technology. And if you have opportunity to work in IT, I think you should grab it. And this also goes to part of my own story. Um, when I joined Globalcom, and I was in a team where they were just involved in some kind of expansion of network across Nigeria, and it wasn't an IT. So I work with the I work I go to the CISO, CIO office just to collect data and then analyze. And it was one of those occasions that I told him I would like to join. They call it IS, and he said, well, that I should be on the lookout. There may be an advert and I can apply. And I actually did apply, but the vacancy wasn't what I wanted. So I didn't. So the vacancy came out, but I didn't apply because it wasn't what I wanted. What they were looking for help desk. And in my estimation, I am more than the person. I'm more than someone that should be doing help desk. I think that pride was because while in university, I'd done networking and were able to couple system, tear a system apart and bring it together and do cyber cafe networking and network administration. I actually did networking administrator while I was in school. So I didn't apply. But I think maybe God was kind to me. So the man eventually got interested, and I applied eventually, and I got it. That was how I got into IT. And just to draw parallel with your own experience, where you were saying opportunity just came up somehow. My too, security was just a matter of asking somebody just saying, "Oh, I need somebody in security," and it wouldn't take anybody except me. And I wasn't actually in networking. Now, you mentioned something also about being intentional, and your interest and your drive will speak better. There are people that study computer science that are not interested in security or anything IT, but somebody that studied microbiology that should be dealing with microbes is now willing to deal with security, maybe another kind of security. So thanks for that thought. My third question would be, what would you tell your younger self starting out today? So this is Leke, Leke 50 years old. Well, let's say Leke 50 years old, and Leke sees Leke 20-year-old that just left university or first year experience or still looking for cybersecurity role. What would you be telling your younger self to say, yeah, young Leke, this is XYZ, and this is how you should go about XYZ in this field and in this industry? All right, that's the question.
Okay, so I'm assuming I still finish with the computer science degree. So the first step, like I said, would be for me to get a few certifications under my belt. The free ones from Google, Microsoft, Cisco, get these ones out. Then at least get the Security Plus certification. Once I have that under my belt, next thing is to start looking for um so after having under my belt, the next step will be to also hone my pen testing skills as regards application security, penetration testing, and all that. There are gazillion tools online that allows you to test your skills, gives you information for free, and everything is for free. You understand? The good thing about it is, even if you don't get a job doing some of these assessments, upgrading your skills, you can start doing bug bounties. Yes, it might be a bit tedious initially, but it's something that some people do for a living, right? So aside from the certification, I'll also work on developing my hands-on skills as regards risk assessments, penetration testing, and all that. And then kind of jobs, the kind of places I'm looking to work, because you have to be intentional. It's not every organization that we have need for a cybersecurity professional. So you're looking at banks, you're looking at consulting firms, at least in Nigeria. You're looking at banks, you're looking at consulting firms, you're looking at companies that do some form of audit, right? So these are basically three areas. And then, yeah, I said I mentioned consulting. So these are probably the target areas to look for jobs and connections and try to meet people to see where the applicants is and see if you can come in. Then I think the other thing will be to manage expectations as regards salaries, right? Because you're just coming in. What should be on your head is to gather experience and not get the bag, right? It's more important for you to, which is why I think I'm a bit lucky, because I spent 9 years in Guarantee Trust Bank. But the growth I've had, so I left Guarantee Trust Bank in 2018 as a banking officer. But the growth I've had between 2018 and this year, that's 5 years, is tremendous. I left as banker, now I'm a senior manager. You can ask folks that work in banking what's the implication of that. That means I've jumped maybe like 4 or 5 steps. You understand? So look for opportunities where you can learn a lot, especially if you can get into consulting. Because if you can finish with a 2-1, you're still in school, try as much as possible to finish with a 2-1. So at least you can get into any of these consulting companies. If you haven't, if you don't have that degree, then look to get into banks. A lot of banks are hiring because a lot of people are jackpot. If you can't get into IT security immediately, enter IT first. Don't just be headstrong and say, okay, if it's not my way, the highway. Sometimes there's Yoruba adage that says, "On Waja." It's not one road that leads to the market, right? So I think for me, this is kind of that's advice that I've given to myself, and then give myself a timeline of 3 years. And once if I get somewhere, I see that it's an environment that makes a lot of sense. I can learn the opportunities, the app tools I can use. I spend like 2, 3 years there, hone my craft, and then I start looking for opportunities that can help me earn more money.
Thank you so much, Oluleke. Thanks for this insights. And I like the idea that you mentioned that, oh, maybe you were lucky, because sometimes some people have all of these things and these things just don't happen. But there are things that you can control. So you don't have control over those kind of golden opportunity, but you can influence them, or you can probably play a role in making you yourself more attractive to those kind of opportunity. Now, there's something before I ask my next question. Also, another thing, apologies, we would need to rejoin. So I'm using the free Zoom, so it's 40 minutes. We will need to rejoin immediately after the session with the same link. So that will be the second and the last session. And we will just do about 10 minutes question in that session, and then the remaining 30 minutes is for interaction. Now, the question I want to ask to end this session, which is not our fault, but it's just you mentioned certification, and I've been asked this question around certification that are being conducted by the likes of Microsoft and AWS and Cisco, which are proprietary certifications, and the certifications that are generic, like the certification from ISACA or IS2, ISCWM2. Now, what are your thoughts around these two certification brands? One that is product driven, proprietary to this technology. So if Cisco packs up today, you probably won't be able to use Cisco knowledge in another place, and the ones that are generic. What are your thoughts? And we will stop in 1 minute, once it is 1 minute to the end of the session, so that we can then go and join the next link, the link for the next session. All right, Leke, over to you.
All right, so I think there's a scale of preference, right? So for the non-proprietary certifications, I think and it depends on the level where if you don't have, you're just coming in and you're just starting your working life, right? I won't recommend going for an ISACA, like a CISA or a CISM. Why? Because those require some years of experience. You can do a security plus, that's usually ideal. A network plus, a security plus is ideal for an entry level person. Then you can now consider doing an AWS or an Azure security certification. Now, it now depends on your targets. For example, if you are seeking to relocate out of the country and all that, I'll suggest you do AWS security certifications. There's a lot of startups, a lot of companies outside the country use AWS, right? But if you are looking to work within the financial industry, within established companies and all that, it's more likely that they will be using Azure, right? So you probably want to, like for example, you're still within Nigeria, you probably want to do the Azure security one. Yeah, so it's for that, it's neither here nor there. It just depends on what your primary objectives are. If it's like, okay, you want to jackpot, I think to make more sense to go for the cloud security certifications. AWS first, then Azure.
All right.
Yeah, basically.
All right. Thanks. Thanks a lot. So even we actually looked at some certifications that are trending regarding information security. So our publication that we did last time was to look at certifications that people should actually go for in the industry, or that are top in the industry. And what you mentioned around Security Plus is actually, I think I'm looking at the certifications now. We had, of course, we had the CISSP, which actually was #1. But apart from CISSP, ISO 27001, CISM, and CISA, the next was actually Security Plus. That is to show, in fact, before the research, someone had reached out to me and said he wants to write a certification and he wants to write Security Plus. And what I told him is that I'm not sure how popular that certification is, but let me check. And by the time I checked finish our research, I went back to him. I said, you might actually be correct. Security Plus is, besides, so apart from CISSP 27001, CISM, and CISA, which are rated and they will require you to have maybe about 5 years experience, Security Plus actually comes next. So what you said is true. Security Plus is a very good starting point. But again, if you have the opportunity to have some of these Cisco, MCSA, and Microsoft, it's good. I started with I think I started with CCNA when I was in network. Then I went into Microsoft. So I did security and system administrator together before I then focused on Cisco fully, and I left operation because Cisco was taking me to operation, and I moved to security management, trying writing the CISA, ISACA certification that I find would drive me into security management instead of security operations. Now we have 1 minute, so we will stop this conversation here, and I will encourage you to join the next one on time. We'll wait for 1 or 2 minutes, 1 minute, and we'll wait for 1 minute, then we will kick off straight, because we want to spend the first 10 minutes to answer to question, then before I open up the floor. See you in the next window. Thank you.